says. And they are 7 kings, 5 have fallen, 1 is, and the other has not yet come. And when it comes, he must remain a little while.
Okay, so we have the description of this beast. 10 horns on 7 heads with crowns on each horn. Body like a leopard, mouth like a lion, paws like a bear. This, I think Dr. North mentioned in Daniel, this kind of is like the vision that Daniel saw, only he saw 4 beasts. And this was kind of a representation of them. The lion and the bear and the leopard and the strange beast with the 10 horns. So it's a little bit different, but but similar enough that we can kind of understand. It was explained to Daniel that these were power, national power, world powers. Yes, ma'am.
So in Daniel's prophecy, is that by Dr. North? Is he thinking that's of this same time frame, or was Daniel's about the end time?
Well, according to my understanding of Daniel and of what Dr. North's explaining, there were, it kind of goes back to Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon, and then there was the Persian Empire, and then there was the Greek Empire, and then there was the Roman. The lion was more like the Babylonians, and I think the bear was the Persians, and the leopard here, or whatever, was like the Greeks, and this is like the Romans with the 10 horns. Is that your understanding? Yeah. Okay.
So it was not of Daniel's prophecy was not about the return of Jesus, the end of time.
No, Daniel's prophecy, in fact, was about the kingdom coming. You know, this was during the time of this last beast with the 10 horns, was when God's kingdom would be established on earth, which is when the church was established, was when Jesus was living.
Okay.
Was born. That's my understanding?
Yes.
Okay. So, you know, you guys all look and think about that, and if you don't understand that way, there are lots of books to, I think I gave you all a reference sheet. There are lots of ways to study and see how people come up with their ideas. Daniel, the thing about him is God actually told him what those things meant. You know, he explained to him. The rest of the book of Revelation, we don't have God to say, okay, this is specifically who this is, so we have to use the clues that we can. And that's what we're going to do on this first piece. The clues. Well, he blasphemes God. He makes war on the saints. He reigns over every tribe, people, language, and nation. The inhabitants of the world worship him. And each of the 7 heads represent a king, it said. 5 have already reigned. 1 is reigning now. Another is yet to come. The 7 heads also represent 7 hills. What would this mean to these first century Christians? Well, ruling the world in their lifetime. Who was ruling the world in their lifetime? Emperors. The Roman emperors. And they were worshipped, some of them. And they persecuted the Christians. And their capital city was built on 7 hills. So it would seem that they would probably consider this beast to be the Roman Empire. That would make logical sense. So that's where we're going with it. Now, I gave you also a chart of the emperors. The first one is the Caesars in the first century, and shows you how the time frames that you notice. Tiberius is when Christ was living and dying. Well, he was born. In fact, if you read Luke, he will tell you Augustus Caesar, in the times of Augustus Caesar, that was when Jesus was born, and then, in the times of Tiberius was when he died. It gave scriptures on to the side there. So, then of course we know, Nero was definitely a persecutor of the Jews and the Christians, and when Rome burned, and they were blamed for that, and he did a lot of terrible things. But it didn't really come, the most part of the persecution did come from get down here, and I don't know if I'm saying his name right. I would call him Domitian, but I don't know if that's the correct pronunciation or not.
I heard it said Domitian.
Domitian, okay.
Also, going back to Nero, Paul and James were persecuted and killed under him.
Okay, that time frame would be
That's when
exactly.
Who was Paul and James? James.
Paul and James.
Paul and James.
Okay.
Nero put them to death.
Okay, so, but this time period down here is, most scholars believe that Revelation was written somewhere in the 90s. And so this definitely fits to what the, he was the one who started the emperor worship. And, and causing them to be killed if they did. And Domitian, the one that's in yellow there.
It's not, yeah.
On the back of your paper, I put this chart that I got from Cardia Educational Flashcards on their website.
So she
It
just
has,
said that's when
from the
Revelation was
beginning of the Roman Empire till it actually, it says it has Augustus in 27 BC, and then the last one, Romulus Augustus, in 476 AD. Well, the Roman Empire was not an empire all that time. It was divided into two, the west and the east. So actually, the empire was ended, according to my understanding, somewhere in the 300s with Constantine. Is that the way you have it?
Yeah.
Okay, I was thinking, I have trouble with dates. For some reason, I can't keep them straight in my mind. But anyway, this just shows, and it reminded me, looking through this, reminded me of our Old Testament study, how the kings of Israel and Judah, some of them were for 40 years, some of them were 2 or 3 years, or even not even a year, because they were killed, other things. And if you look through some of these, you notice some of them were there for quite a while, and some of them weren't there any time hardly. So, but still, that's a long period of time for an empire. I mean, almost 500 years of that the Roman Empire, till it was completely gone. But I just find that really interesting, and maybe that would be interesting. All right. So we've got we're ready for the second piece, aren't we? I think.
Linda,
Yes.
can I tell you something interesting that I read and studied my lesson?
Oh, yes.
I read about the Dominican, I looked it up, however you pronounce it, and he was actually, so, whatever, weird or, anyway, he filled the Colosseum of Rome, and if you've ever seen the Colosseum of Rome, it's really big, with water, and he built 2 ships and put them on that water, and then he brought all the prisoners out and put them on ships. And then they were commanded to kill each other till they was all gone. So that's how weird and cruel he was to think of stuff like that. I thought that, I just can't imagine that Colosseum being filled with water, but there it was.
Haven't seen it, but anyway, wow. Okay, they did some strange things, and they were supposed to be honored as God.
You been to Rome?
And evidently people did. Okay. So the next thing we have is the second beast, and I think Ruth Lund has the second beast. Revelation 13, 11, 18, and 19.
Then I saw another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb and spoke like a dragon. And he had exercised all the authority of the first beast in his presence, and caused the earth and those who dwelt in it to worship the first beast, those deadly wounds was healed. He performs great signs so that he even makes fire come down from the earth, from heaven on the earth in sight of the men. And he deceives those who dwell on earth by those signs which he is granted to do in the sight of the beast, telling those who dwell on the earth to make an image to the beast who was wounded by this sword and lived. He was granted power to give breath to the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not to worship the image of the beast to be killed. He causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on the forehead, and not one may buy or sell except those has the mark or the name of the beast or the name of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him who has understanding calculate the numbers of the beast, for it is the number of a man. His name is 666. And I saw the beast, the kings of the earth, and their names gathered together to make war against him who sat on the horse and against his army. Then the beast was captured, and with him the false prophets who worked signs in his presence, by which he deceived those who received the mark of the beast and those who worshiped his image. These are two cast alive into the lake of fire, burning with brimstone.
Okay. So this beast rises out of the earth. He has two horns like a lamb, speaks like a dragon, exercises authority of the first beast. He makes great signs, pressures the people, and make them worship the first beast. And then he's defeated with the first beast. Later. So, what would these first century Christians think about this? The two horns like a lamb. What do you think of when you think of a lamb?
Jesus. Sacrifice.
And would they have thought of that with the lamb? Would these people, would they have thought of sacrifice?
He was able to work signs and miracles, so they might think, oh, he's our, this is what we're supposed to do, because this is so powerful that it's like a god.
Okay, so, the idea that Dr. North brings out is the idea of religion, is kind of implied here, because a lamb, the sacrifice, and that would have been something they would have been familiar with. And anyone who could perform miracles and work signs would be something that would be thought of as some you should go to for guidance, or direction, or to worship. So, he says, emperor worship developed in the Roman Empire, 81 to 96 AD, and that was that time period of Domitian. People were required to offer incense to Caesar as Lord. So he says, the beast, to him, what he would see, these people seeing when they heard about this beast, would be the cult of emperor worship. So they would see that as a religious worship type creature. So I don't know, you have to kind of think about that. Do you understand it that way? Do you have any comments or? Yes, ma'am.
So many times the world thinks of it as the Antichrist and stuff, whenever I was working retail and stuff, if, I don't know how many times if the total was $6.66, I'd have people buy something else just to avoid that dollar amount.
That was mentioned that, his number was 666, so that is true. There are a lot of people who have not even read the Bible who have heard about 666.
That's one of the things I was taught in church earlier, many years ago, that 666 was in the hat of the Pope, and that it's the Catholic religion. Now, we know people think that, a lot of people think, or have taught, that this book of Revelation is about the Catholic Church and the Pope. But we're finding out definitely it's not. I've been taught both ways, and it's very interesting to see what people think about that.
Right, I'm sure that the Catholics admit that there are times in their history that their popes did some very bad things. And, it would be easy to put it all on them. But, like Dr. North is saying, that really did not apply to this because that was not the shortly come to pass thing.
No.
And it, also, there were other things that are involved here, but I think we will find as we go through this that not only the Catholics, but any religion that makes us worship a man or anything other than God, anything other than trusting God's word, could be used. These symbols would represent them too. But at this time period, what we're talking about is what these people would have understood, because if they didn't understand it, then it's got to make sense to them because it was written to them.
So, and I believe it's accurate, yes.
Yes,
I believe it's an
right.
accurate study
I do
by
too.
Dr. North.
Okay. So we've got the second beast, 2 horns like a lamb.
Can you
lamb.
explain?
Yes.
Can you explain what is it saying about worship? Like, what are they saying?
Well, because someone who can okay, let me see if I can do this. I don't know. He performed miracles and signs, and he wanted everyone, the beast, to worship the first beast. The second beast wanted everyone, and so.
And the first beast is
The Roman Empire.
The Roman Empire.
Yeah, and that
Okay.
would have been like Domitian, who had people. He
Okay.
claimed himself to be God, and then he had priests and whatever in his kingdom that had people worship him, and they would be put to death if you didn't, was my understanding. And I don't know if there were statues made of him or exactly. I don't remember the history on how that worship was carried out, but so ask your question again and let me see if I'm even heading in the right direction.
Why did we look at it as the lamb as a religious practice? Like, why would they go that way in their thinking?
No,
Christians.
no, I was wondering, like, okay, so are they saying that, is God saying, okay, you need to follow the emperor?
No,
And
no, this is a different,
laws?
this is false worship, false religion. Like, I think she read in, which verse was it?
It's a tool.
In the chapter 19 to 20, it said something there, let's see what it say. Okay, verse 20, then the beast was captured, that's the first beast, and with him the false prophet, which is the second beast, who worked signs in his presence by which he deceived those who received the mark of the beast and those who worshipped his image. So that verse pretty well, I mean, a false prophet definitely makes you think of religion.
Mhm.
So, the lamb was something that the Jewish people would be used to, and probably the pagans in their worship, I mean, they had meat offered to idols, so, and a lamb would have been a common selection in that time to offer. So the lamb made you think of some religious ceremony type thing, and then the false prophet. So that's why he's coming up with saying, to him, what it's saying about the second beast is it's the cult of emperor worship. It's that type of, it's a religious thing.
It's a tool of Satan.
It's
Both
a
of
tool.
these are tools of
Right.
Satan, and they work together.
Exactly, the Roman Empire and the
So pretty much be aware.
right,
Okay,
right.
okay.
Okay, thank you. Number 5. Oh, I've got 5 minutes. All right. We may not read all the scriptures on these because of the time, but number 5, Revelation identifies the harlot Babylon, and somebody has that one.
I do.
Hey, Joe,
Do you want us to read it all?
to read the 17, 1 through 7, I think ought to
Okay.
be enough. Maybe.
Then one of the 7 angels who had the 7 bowls came and talked with me, saying to me, Come, I will show you the judgment of the great harlot who sits on many waters, with whom the kings of the earth committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth were made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sitting on a scarlet beast, which was full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. The woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet, and adorned with gold and precious stones, and pearls, having in her hand a golden cup full of abominations, and the filthiness of her fornication. And on her forehead a name was written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots, and of the abominations of the earth. I saw the woman drunk with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. And when I saw her, I marveled with great amazement. But the angel said to me, Why do you marvel? I will tell you the mystery of the woman and of the beast that carries her, which has the 7 heads and the 10 horns. Do you want 15 through 17?
Maybe so, it's just 2, you're right there.
Then he said, The waters which you saw where the harlot sits are peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues. And the 10 horns which you saw in the beast, these will hate the harlot, make her desolate and naked, eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. For God has put it into their hearts to fulfill his purpose, to be of one mind, and to give their kingdom to the beast, until the words of God are fulfilled.
Okay. Well, it says that she's a great city, so this lady is not a lady, she's a city. And she commits fornication with kings, and we talked about that in our teachers meeting about what that meant, and the comment that was made was, you've heard of different political rulers that you say, well, you know, that's their bedfellow, or something to that extent. They are connected in their deceit of people and in their plans, and so the city of Rome, with the kings of the earth, the kings in the Roman Empire, and I said the city of Rome. We didn't know it was that yet, but yes, you will. She rides upon the first beast. So the first beast was the Roman Empire. She's dressed luxuriously. She's intoxicated with the blood of the saints. So what would they think of her? What would this lady, who would she be? Great city intoxicated with the blood of the saints.
The city of Rome.
Rome.
Bearing the name of Babylon, another capital city of great empire that persecuted God's people. And there was even a coin that had Rome depicted as an elegant woman. So they would more than likely think of the harlot as the city of Rome. That was their 5th one. Identifies the prostitute as the city of Rome. Okay? Guess we're going to keep it going because it's 11:29 and.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, yes.
in 1711, and the beast that was and is not, even he is the eighth, and is of the seven, and goeth into perfection.
Okay, that's, I think, somewhere talking about some of these guys, but I don't know, and I don't think Dr. North goes into detail about who specifically it is. I don't know the answer to that, but that was a chapter 11, verse what?
Or 1711.
Oh,
1711.
Okay, that'll be one we'll research. We'll have to look up on, see if we can come up with some sort of answer. So anyone who likes to hunt things up and study stuff out, 1711, we have a question on, so you're welcome to help me study that. Okay? All right, the next one is the sixth key. Revelation identifies the 1,260 days. Let's just do the first reading on that one, whoever I gave that one to. Okay, Cheryl? Chapter 11, 2 through 7.
The court which is without the temple lay down, and furniture not, where it is given unto the Gentiles, and the holy city shall they tread underfoot 42 months. And I will give power unto 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth.
And I think that will actually be enough right there. Let's just stop with that. We got the numbers in there. Anyway, you realize that 1,260 days is the same thing as 42 months. And it's also the same thing as 3.5 years, or sometimes referred to as time, times, and a half a time. Those all are talking about, that's the same number, just worded different.
And like Elijah's famine was 3.5 years too.
Okay, you remember from Elijah that, about the, no rain for 3.5 years. There are probably some other times that was mentioned. Okay, but the things that he says here that's gonna happen, Gentiles are gonna tread over the holy city. The 2 witnesses are gonna testify while under attack, and they're gonna be killed. And a woman precious to God is protected from Satan. That's gonna happen this same time. And the beast makes war with the saints. Now, I'm not so sure, I don't really know. I'm still studying and reading and thinking. I think Dr. North feels like this all happens at the same time. And it's a different perspective of what's going on, but it's all of this is happening in the same period of time.
Yes, and he thinks it starts when Rome fell and goes to the end.
Okay,
of
that's what I was
time,
gonna say
which
next,
is
yes.
really a deep study there.
Okay, what would this mean?
So in our question page,
Okay,
and whenever you just said, you'll persecute the holy city, the holy city is, he says,
let's
blank.
let me see if I answer this.
Is it Christians, or is
I
it
think so.
Jerusalem, or is it?
Where's my answer key? Look back on your answer
Okay.
key. The teachers all have answer keys, and I forgot what we put down for that. The sixth key to understanding Revelation is that it identifies the 1,260 days as the time period the Roman Empire will persecute the Christians, I believe is what it's supposed, the church. Okay. And, like Ruth said, the Roman Empire did persecute Christians from about 90 AD, that was the time of nation, to about 300 AD was Constantine came in there. So,
It was till the edict of Milan, which was Constantine's edict to stop persecuting the Christians. And at that time, he had Eusebius write 50 Bibles because they had burned them all. It's quite interesting.
as with the other keys, they would expect the time period to be symbolic, because, that's not 1,260 days, that's so many years. It's not 3.5 years either, it's a lot more than that, but, so I don't, anyway, this is what Dr. North says about it. We'll think about it, and you think about it, and if you have questions and that doesn't make sense to you, that's something we want to discuss and wanna understand. 1,260 days is the time period the Roman Empire will persecute the church, is what we come up with. I'm sorry, it's 11:34, I'm gonna go through the last one, and this, if you have to be somewhere and need to go, don't worry about, leaving. The seventh key is, Revelation identifies the kingdom. Julie Alexander, if you'll just read the first one, I think Revelation 1:6, hopefully we'll answer most.
And made us the kingdom, priest to his God and Father. To him be the glory and dominion forever and ever. Amen.
Okay, so who was made a kingdom of priests? He said we, who was he writing to?
The Christians.
The Christians. So, and we have this in several places in other parts of the New Testament, First Peter and Colossians and other places. A kingdom of priests, the kingdom that existed when John wrote Revelation. Jesus purchased every nation and made them a kingdom of priests. They shall reign on the earth. So what would this mean to them? Jesus said that his kingdom was not of this world. Christians are translated into Christ's kingdom. So the kingdom is the church. And I think that's pretty
And it's
clear.
spiritual, not.
Right.
I'm gonna make a correction. I said that time frame you were talking about, the persecution of the church, it's when you get into the 1,000-year reign. That's really interesting. Jan's gonna be teaching us about that.
Yes, you will.
So I was bringing that up. I don't want to confuse anybody.
We'll get to a lot of this more. So now the question is, using these 7 keys, which of the 5 approaches is most likely to be the correct way to view Revelation? So that's what Virginia's going to take us through next week, is matching the approaches and checking them out with the 7 keys. So your assignment is to reread